Today I'm going to talk to you about why you should not go vegetarian, and if you are already vegetarian, why you need to stop. Now I say this from experience because I was vegetarian for 14 years, starting when I was around age 11. I went vegetarian because I cared about the animals. I didn't see why it was right to pay for an animal to die if I had other choices. So I spent many years eating fruit and veg and nuts and seeds and dairy, eggs, honey, and I was pretty content with my life. You know, I was living in line with my morals. I didn't have to feel guilty about what I was eating. Ultimately, I was making a little sacrifice for something I believed in more. I was doing something selfless for the animals. But I started to hear about this word vegan and veganism. I started to learn what they are. They don't eat eggs or honey or milk. And I thought, actually, that's kind of extreme. Because no animal's dying for these products. So some years passed and I started to think about vegans again and why they're so extreme, why they go to such lengths. And I didn't really understand them, but I wanted to. I wanted to understand their reasoning. So I started to look into dairy and eggs and honey, and I was absolutely shocked by what I found out. So let's start with dairy. I just thought you milked a cow, you got the milk. That was pretty much the process. But of course, a dairy cow is the same as any other mammal. It has to give birth to produce milk. Some calves are born female and some calves are born male. Now, obviously, males don't produce milk, so they're sort of surplus to the industry, which is why we have something called veal. Dairy calves are veal calves. And I also found out that after a dairy cow produces milk for 4 years, they are also sent for slaughter. So I started to make this connection between buying dairy and paying for cows to be slaughtered. And I realized that if you're doing one, you are doing the other too. The dairy industry is the beef and veal industry. So this got me thinking about eggs, because obviously we have the same problem. Males don't produce eggs. And I found out that male chicks are killed on their first day of life by being thrown into this macerator like a big blender. So far I had already knocked off milk, cheese and butter and eggs, because by paying for those, I was killing animals. I only left one more animal product. I didn't have much hope for it. It was honey. So in the honey industry, they clip the wings of the queen bee, they crush a male bee and take its sperm and artificially inseminate the queen bee. When we take the honey from these bees, we replace it with this artificial sugar water replacement, which can't be good for their nutritional needs. And then in the winter months, we kill a bunch of them. We gas them or we stick them in a black bag and let them die in the sun. I mean, the only reason I had doubts about honey is that I heard that you support the environment when you support honey. But what I have since learned is that by having honeybees in the area, you're pushing natural pollinators out of the area. So you haven't even got the environmental justification. At this point, I decided to bury my head in the sand, especially with dairy, because I was an absolute cheese fiend and I had no idea how I was going to give up cheese. But somewhere in the back of my mind, there was still this idea that because I was vegetarian, I was still killing animals and I had no justification for it. But eventually I decided I didn't want to be the reason that chicks are killed on their first day of life or that calves are separated from their mothers. I realized that vegans weren't extreme and they were actually just doing the bare minimum to not harm animals. It was a neutral position. So by doing anything less, I was actively supporting animal abuse, which I claimed to be against. So I had no choice. I had to go vegan. So if you're a vegetarian watching this and you didn't realize that animals are killed and still harmed for other animal products, you can be forgiven for calling yourself an animal lover. But now you know the truth. So what are you going to do about it? If you're looking to make a change, make sure you click on one of these videos. They're really going to help you out. Or check out the description where there's a bunch of links to documentaries and people who can help you go vegan. Okay? Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.